Hi and welcome to another episode of Driven on Red. Today we're going to be having a look at the BMW X3. This one's a diesel, so as with other diesel models in the BMW lineup, it's going to save you a bit of money. So it's really efficient, and obviously this is the X-Drive, so you get the all-wheel drive performance that BMW's been come to provide with the X models. So you've got that little bit of off-roading capability as well. So sitting in the back of the X3, you get a real sense of space, and you get to appreciate how luxurious it is. So you've got this beautiful leather with the stitching, goes throughout the cabin, really gives you an airy sense, especially with the white stitching. So panoramic sunroof, it's really nice. It's quite a large one, and when you open it up, you almost feel like you're in a convertible. So as for the space, back here, it's pretty generous. So legroom, as you can see, this is set to a 6-foot tall driver, so if there wasn't heaps of legroom, it would be pretty useless as an SUV. I mean, parents will be carrying their kids back here, you'll be carrying stuff, so obviously it needs to be pretty spacious. Headroom, pretty good. So in general, you're going to be pretty comfortable back here. So as for the center armrest, like pretty much every modern BMW, you get your cup holders, so they just pop out. So this is unlike with Audi. I mean, they don't even include cup holders. You've got to pay extra for that. So BMW, thumbs up. All right, the interior of the X3. Now, sitting in the front, you get a real sense of, being in charge, a commanding driving position. You're quite high up. You can put the seat down, but this is pretty much as low as it's going to get. So as you can see, I've got a nice view out over the road. The front's not way too long, like in some BMW models like the Z4 with a massive front end. It's really controllable. Parking it in town is super easy because you've got parking sensors, front and rear, reversing cameras. You can fit 360-degree cameras. It's really easy to drive around town. Now, a few options that you can get, so you've got the climate control, so you can have different temperature for each side. You've got navigation, all of those things. It's just, you've got a wide range of options, as with any European car, pretty much. So this one in particular is finished with this wood. So I'm not a massive fan of the wood, but I'm sure some people will enjoy it. So that's something you can get. You can also get aluminiums and all different types of woods, obviously blacks and all birches and all that. So as for cubby spaces, which is pretty important for most people, we've got a large center armrest with this phone cradle, so I'm not sure if that's something you're into, but it's there. You've got 2 cup holders up front with a nice storage space for your telephone or something else, your keys maybe. You've got a little cubby under the driver's knee here, as well as door bins, which are pretty much big enough to store massive drink bottles or small ones, whatever floats your boat.
The X3 also features an electronic tailgate.
Alright, so setting off in the BMW X3, first thing you'll notice is a nice high commanding driving position, especially from where I'm sitting. It's fairly low down, but you still get a beautiful view out. So we're going to start her up. So this, as I said, this is a 2-litre diesel. Now, even though the engine note's a bit louder than you would have thought, you can live with it. It's not too bad. So first thing I noticed when I drove this car, personally, was the steering is really light. So it's super easy to drive around town. So it's pretty effortless. I mean, you're just cruising around and you don't really notice it at all. I mean, effort required to turn the wheel is 0. Back when they were doing the E90s, it was super heavy, but this one's fine. You don't have to worry about it. Now, as I said, this one's the X-Drive model, so it's BMW's all-wheel drive system, something like Audi's Quattro, but a little bit less known. So I find that it's alright, especially when you're heading off at the lights, putting your foot down a bit. Now the ride on this car is something to take note of also. It's firm, but it's not unpleasant. That could be because of the run flats. That could be because of the large nature of the vehicle, and the suspension has to be a bit firmer. But it's not unpleasant. It's something you can get used to. When I first went over a bump, I was a bit taken aback. I was like, ooh, I thought this would be a bit softer. But it's not terrible. Depending on where you're coming from, if you're coming from like an M3 or a sports car, something with really stiff sport suspension, this would be really comfy. So it feels a bit disingenuous me saying that it's a firm ride. Just as I said, it depends what you're coming from. So that's also something to keep in mind. As for safety, you're pretty much going to be right in the X3. If you hit someone, you've got heaps of airbags. You've got a nice big front end, so it's going to take a bit of the crash away from you, so you're not impacted quite a bit. You're going to be right. So that's something to keep in your back of your mind. Always consider, this is a safe car. But also, another side of that coin is efficiency. So it's also being able to live with it. So safety and efficiency. So it's really efficient. As I said, it's a diesel. So it sits on about, we've got the fuel consumption sticker right there. I'm trying to read it. It sits on about 7 to 8, we've found, and that's driving pretty dynamically. I think that's the word they use. If you're a bit more cautious, I'm sure you could get around 6 to 5. So it really depends on how you drive it. Now we saved this bit for when we were on the move, just to show how easy it is actually operating. Now it's raining now, so I'm not going to really do it. But the sunroof is actually super easy to control. There's this little switch here, so you can just click it forward, click it backwards, depending on how you want to open it. And it also opens on an angle, so you can kind of get that angled look. So you can actually, I'm going to close the shade on it just to give you an example. So you can just click it forward like that, and the shade moves forward. So it's also a really cool feature. Another cool feature, or a handy feature I should say, that you've come to get used to, well I have personally on European cars, is automatic headlights and automatic wipers. So those are controlled just down here via the switches, and once you set them on, you don't have to worry about it, they're just automatic. Picking up the review of the BMW X3, it's a really enjoyable car to drive. There's a nice high commanding driving position, it's really reliable, it's got a great engine, even though the engine note's a bit iffy, but you can come to get used to it, especially from a common rail diesel. So the efficiency, the dynamics and the performance really make this one a must-have in this car segment.